You're watching Self-Drive TV News, the barge pole between corporate media and investigative journalism. I'm Heavy Man.
Media blackout on global cyberwar.
Between July and November 2010, the whistleblowing website Wikileaks released classified US military reports documenting the dirty wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. These leaks were shortly followed by the release of confidential US diplomatic cables. Bloodthirsty profiteers everywhere spiralled into a hysterical panic as Cablegate exposed an unprecedented plethora of corrupt practices worldwide. The Big Five of the world's remaining independent media outlets continue to work through the data, sifting through hundreds of thousands of documents. The New York Times, The Guardian, Le Monde, Der Spiegel and El País have been assisted in trawling the data by Wikileaks volunteers, more recently by the hacktivist collective commonly known as Anonymous. The scale of corruption exposed so far by Wikileaks has been staggering, as has corporate media's biased non-coverage of events, redacting significant facts in a vast echo chamber of misinformation, lies and propaganda. Join me as I try to maintain my objectivity investigating
Wikileaks, Julian Assange and Anonymous.
Conscientious champions of truth
Or irresponsible cyber terrorists.
Wikileaks. Are they irresponsible cyber terrorists?
In the last 4 years, the whistleblowing website Wikileaks has exposed injustice on a global scale. Between 2006 and 2008, they have released evidence of state-sponsored assassination in Somalia, killings by the Kenyan police, human rights violations at Guantanamo Bay, and Tibetan dissent behind the Great Firewall of China. They have exposed the Church of Scientology as a predatory cult of confidence tricksters and published the BNP's membership list. In 2009, Wikileaks released evidence of the Peruvian Petrogate oil scandal, toxic dumping in Africa, the ClimateGate emails, details of Barclays Bank's tax avoidance, and Bilderberg Group meeting reports. In April 2010, Wikileaks released classified footage of the US military indiscriminately slaughtering 12 innocent people, including 2 Reuters journalists. This leak led to the arrest of Bradley Manning, the alleged source of the video. Manning is reported to have stated, "Everywhere there's a US post, there's a diplomatic scandal that will be revealed." This assertion was proven true with the release of the US diplomatic cables, which Manning accurately described as explaining how the First World exploits the Third in detail from an internal perspective. So, are Wikileaks irresponsible cyber terrorists? No, they aren't. Julian Assange.
Is he a cyber terrorist?
And or a rapist. Julian Assange, the editor-in-chief of Wikileaks, has suffered a smear campaign in the wake of Cablegate. The campaign has been cack-handed, accusing Assange of sex crimes in Sweden and spy crimes in the United Corporate States of enslaved countries everywhere. Neither government has filed any criminal indictment, despite launching an unprecedented Interpol manhunt to arrest and detain Assange, who is being described as a cyber terrorist by the very people he has exposed as financial, militant and ideological terrorists. The US Justice Department are attempting to extradite and prosecute Assange, claiming that he has put innocent lives at risk. Sensible observers have noted that not a single example has been given to back up this claim, while there are countless examples of blood for oil revealed in the leaks. It is worth noting that one of the first to criticise Wikileaks was shifty President Richard Nixon's plumber, George Gordon Liddy, of Watergate fame. Liddy joined calls for Assange to be assassinated by the US government. Assange is, however, unlikely to face prosecution or assassination anytime soon. He has warned that he is sitting on a metaphorical thermonuclear bomb of information, which is to be released in the event of his untimely death or unlawful incarceration. Prosecuting or assassinating him would achieve little, as he is now just one part of an ever-expanding intellectual movement towards the age of transparency, for better or worse. So, is Julian Assange an irresponsible cyber-terrorist? No, far from it.
Anonymous. Are they irresponsible cyber-terrorists?
In late 2010, the loosely knit global collective Anonymous rallied en masse to avenge Julian Assange and to support Wikileaks. The group has been described as the first internet-based superconsciousness, an amorphous, anarchical, non-hierarchical group of activists, cyber vigilantes and hacktivists. Anonymous first received global coverage in 2008 when they declared war on the Church of Scientology. Wikileaks had released a video of celebrity cultist Tom Cruise, along with key documents and insights into the workings of the cult known as the Church of Scientology. The so-called Church issued a copyright violation against YouTube, which Anonymous factions described as a form of internet censorship. The rest is history. Tactics deployed by Anonymous participants include propaganda, denial of service attacks, black faxes, prank call phone blockades, peaceful demonstrations, protests, sit-ins, and unfortunately, yet understandably, riots. Gabriella Coleman, a New York University professor who has studied Anonymous, observes that it is impossible to gauge what motivates each individual anon. In a multi-authored statement entitled Free-Thinking Citizens of the World, released by Anonymous on the 16th of December 2010, the collective explain:
It may seem odd to try to characterise or explain Anonymous at all. Among this buzzing hive of thoughts, ideas and dreams, the only common characteristics that one might perceive are just the ideas that hold the most traction at that time.
Following Operation Payback and Operation Avenge Assange, a number of Anonymous were arrested in late 2010. In a passive-aggressive response, Legion Anonymous factions launched Operation Leakspin to help the Big Five trawl the US Embassy cable's data. Other Anonymous have successfully targeted the governments of Zimbabwe and Tunisia for their attempts to censor truth on the internet. So,
are Anonymous irresponsible cyber-terrorists?
That question cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. Anonymous activities do not follow a single agenda. Rather, they agree or disagree en masse, like a democracy. In the recent past, certain Anonymous factions have participated in petty, stupid and irresponsible actions simply for their own amusement, or
for the louse.
However, post-Cablegate Anonymous tend to see themselves as responsible freedom fighters in the cyberwar. They attack individuals, institutions and governments hostile to Wikileaks, which they consider to be an instrument of justice, liberty and freedom of speech. Most Anonymous recognise that the stakes have never been higher and perceive themselves to be fighting for nothing less than the world's freedom from censorship and oppression.
Worldwide cyber war, then?
Yes. The National Security Agency has declared 2011 to be the year of the cyberwar, designating Wikileaks, Julian Assange and Anonymous as enemy combatants. This leads the inquisitive to ask the pertinent question, is this developing into a war on the freedom of information? The first documented instance of cyber warfare was during the Kosovo War 98-99. When NATO bombed Serbian media outlets carrying Milosevic's propaganda, they deliberately avoided targeting internet service providers or shutting down the satellite networks. James P. Rubin, spokesman for the US State Department, said at the time,
"Full and open access to the internet can only help the Serbian people know the ugly truth."
It seems that statement has come back to bite the US in the arse somewhat, as WikiLeaks continue to leak the ugly truth of US military and diplomatic policy. As if our present-day dystopia wasn't surreal enough, the CIA has launched a task force to deal with the fallout of the US diplomatic cables. It is called the WikiLeaks Task Force, or WTF, more commonly used to abbreviate the phrase, "What the WikiLeaks and Anonymous are prizing open Pandora's box. Hold on to your seats, everybody, it's going to be a rocky ride.